Hello my fellow Italians and welcome back to Hetamysteries. And I missed my anniversary again. But isn't this YouTube channel not even a year old? No, not that anniversary. I'm talking about the whole Hetafax anniversary. 4 years ago, I started a crappy little blog on Tumblr, and it now has 7,742 followers. That's where all of this started. And as of February 6th, it is now 4 years old. I'm a dedicated piece of trash, aren't I? As you know, so many people fret about how Prussia is going to disappear. You could hear it as the cries of the fangirls echo throughout Tumblr and DeviantArt. Even though Hetamystery has pretty much confirmed that Prussia isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Though Hema hasn't exactly stated why he's here to stay just yet, everything German is ambiguous for some reason. So Prussia is still called Prussia, but Prussia is no longer a country. So what happens when nations stop being nations? Well, as we have seen from Nico, when he stopped becoming a nation, he didn't die instantly. He just became a human again and aged normally. In Osoji Prussia, Hema stated that Germany's brothers are retired nations and that they have passed their traits onto Germany and will eventually disappear. So Prussia lost his nation status after World War II, but today, if he were to age normally, he should look about 95 years old, which he clearly is not. He looks exactly the same as he did in World War II. Also, if he's supposed to be disappearing, why didn't he do so in the past 80 years that he was removed from his nationhood status? He isn't disappearing. How is this possible? Let's go over the popular theories. Theory number 1. Prussia is actually dead. He's just a ghost. I'm sorry to be harsh, but this is kinda stupid. To prove this, let's take a look at another ghost nation we know, the Roman Empire. The biggest difference and why this can't be true is how dead nations work. The Roman Empire constantly states that he had to convince God just to go visit Italy once. Grandpa Rome also has powers like turning into a giant and singing about heaven and hell and summoning random hordes of giant women with him, and then just randomly disappearing. Prussia can do none of these things. He seems to have no urgency as if he only has limited time. He can't become giant, he doesn't just randomly vanish, and if he was able to convince God to visit as frequently as he does, you'd think God would be pretty fed up with him by now. Also, Prussia is seen doing things living people have to do, like sleeping, eating, and drinking beer. Also, the fact that he can be physically harmed proves that he is very much alive. Theory number 2. His ego and awesomeness keeps him alive. While I do find this hilarious and rather intriguing, Grandpa Rome has a big ego too and can't do half the stuff that Prussia can. This might be a default reasoning for if Hetamystery gets lazy. Theory number 3. Prussia is dying or fading away and is turning human as seen in the comic with the dog bite, Private Concert. He is just trying to delay it as much as possible. There are a couple of reasons why this would not work. One is that if Prussia died in the 1940s, he would start aging then like Nico did. So he would look like an 80 to 90-year-old man. If he were to start aging at the fall of the Berlin Wall, he would be around his 40s. He could be slowly fading away, but I will address that later. Also, the comic where the dog bite on Prussia's hand could also reference to a blood condition that many Prussian leaders have had. This sounds like something that Hema would do just to mess with us. It also depends on how serious the wound is. Characters like Switzerland, the Netherlands, and Lithuania still have physical injuries that they still have not recovered from. Nations may not heal as fast as we think. Theory number 4. Prussia exists because he is constantly around Germany. Like Hanatamago's immortality, the constant companionship keeps him alive. While this theory is very interesting and very well thought out, there are a few flaws. Prussia isn't around Germany as much as Hanatamago is around Finland. Hanatamago goes practically everywhere Finland goes. Prussia is not always by Germany's side. In fact, he probably spends a lot of time away from his brother and with his friends rather than with Germany. Theory number 5. He exists because he is a micronation now. The micronation of New Prussia was made in 2012. Prussia is running around awesome and alive way before that happened. Also, if he were a micronation in America and Canada, Why does he live with Germany?
Theory number 6. Prussia is Kaliningrad Oblast now.
Prussia did state once that he had become an exclave of Russia's. However, this was later retconned and changed, so it was assumed that this was an error. And again, he lives with Germany. Though it is true that the last bits of Prussia were turned into Brandenburg and Kaliningrad Oblast, I think Hetamystery is pointing more towards the last theory, the East Germany theory. A very popular theory throughout the fandom, and it is the correct theory. After looking at all the facts, I am convinced that this is the reason why our precious, pompous pal Prussia is alive and well. After all the evidence, here is why Prussia is East Germany. Number 1. Germany and Prussia call each other East and West. This is pretty straightforward, much like the Italy brothers calling each other Venetiano and Romano. This also explains why he is still called Prussia and not East Germany. Prussia just sounds awesomer than East Germany. Like Romano is easier to say than South Italy. Some of you are probably asking, but what if West is referring to Westphalia, a western territory of Prussia and a kingdom formed shortly after the fall of the Holy Roman Empire? Most of you probably were not asking that question, but I have your attention, don't I?
Let's look back to when Germany was born.
Germany was born as the German Confederation. Prussia rounded up all those scattered nations to make a newly born Germany. In those nations, it had to include Westphalen. Since Germany was born as the German Confederation, Westphalia has to be a separate person. But that would explain what happened to the Holy Roman Empire's corpse over the years. Maybe that's how the body was preserved. But France saw the Holy Roman Empire die. If Germany was born as the German Confederation, could this be a third person that shared this body? Well, I'm getting off topic. Even if that is the reason, it doesn't disprove anything. Germany still has called him East, and there is a lot more evidence. Number 2. Many people, including myself, agree that East and West Germany are very different even today. Because of World War II, Germany was split up into two, as you all know. Western Germany flourished under British, French, and American influence and became well advanced, while communist East Germany, like communist countries at the time, fell behind. I was raised by someone who grew up in the DDR, or Communist Germany. I know many people who still have the DDR flag in their home and still identify as being East German. Not only do some of them identify as being East German, but many Germans also identify as being Prussian. But even today, people still consider the West and the East different. Today, some people use the word Olsi and Vessi to describe where people are from. A quick note, if you're being formal, do not use these terms. Some people do find them offensive. Western Germany is still doing better economically than the East. Even their crosswalk signs are different. Now to compare with another instance of this in Italia. Many people can agree that the northern and southern half of Italy are completely different, just like East and West Germany. Hetamystery even explained this in Italia, how the north is full of tourism and riches and the south is poorer and made up of mostly farms. Similar to how West Germany is more economically sound than the East. Many people identify themselves as northerners and southerners, but it is not as prominent as the Germany situation. Number 3. Prussia and Germany live together. Throughout Italia, we have observed that when nations merge, they live together. This is shown by the Soviet Union, the Holy Roman Empire, and once again, the Italy brothers. The German brothers are no exception. Number 4. The last of Prussia is what is now East Germany. When Prussia fell, it looked a little bit like this. Again, you could say he is Kaliningrad Oblast too, but Prussia doesn't live with Russia. He lives with his brother full-time, which makes sense since the larger half of him is in Germany. Number 5. Prussia's hatred of Russia. Prussia hates Russia to the point of pulling out 4 eyelashes or vomiting blood. Has anyone ever wondered why? I believe the biggest reason has to do with the Iron Curtain. If you don't know what that is, basically after World War II there was something called the Warsaw Pact. And then Russia had a bunch of satellite states that were under communist influence. This includes East Germany. People weren't very happy with the Reds and fled in mass numbers to the western half of Europe. And Russia was like, ha 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 ha, yeah, no, where the hell do you think you're going? And so he made it pretty much impossible for people to leave communism. It was basically a Berlin Wall before the entirety of Europe. Many people couldn't even visit their families or friends on the other side, hence why the majority of Eastern Europe hates Russia. As we have seen in Italia, countries who are taken over like this are ripped away from family and friends, like how Lithuania was ripped away from Poland when he had to live with Russia, Venetiano being separated from Romano under the Holy Roman Empire, or how Moldova is seen crying about missing his brother while he is living in the Soviet Union. Imagine you were one of those families I mentioned earlier. Unless they come to you, you can never see those family members or friends ever again. If you were desperate, it would be an arduous and sometimes a legal process depending on where you were. People died trying to get over that wall. I see no reason not to hate Russia if I was Prussia. Hetamystery also stated that Prussia was under Russian control after World War II. Sound familiar? Before you yell out Kaliningrad Oblast, think. What else was under Russian influence at that time? East Germany. Also, Kaliningrad Oblast was more of a part of Russia and less of a satellite state. Prussia is probably also pissed at that. Number 6. Comic evidence. This tiny tidbit of information is the one that confirms this theory. It comes from the comic Germany is Playing an Impossible Game. Like the comic about how Germany was made, the mind-blowing evidence comes at the end. We have to get rid of the wall in our hearts so that the country can get better and the progress will be naturally more effective. When the nostalgia level gets higher, Russia imposes himself on my big brother. Boom. There it is. This is all one big reference to the Berlin Wall and Russian occupation of East Germany. The wall in our hearts is the Berlin Wall since Berlin is the capital of Germany and the capital is the heart of the country. Germany says our hearts because they are both Germany and so Berlin is both of their hearts. Nostalgia, East nostalgia, need I say more? There is nothing more to be said. Prussia is East Germany. So, Prussia is, or was, East Germany. But East Germany isn't a country anymore. Does that mean he's going to fade away or become human or die? Well, let's put it this way. Let's look at Romano. The Italy brothers unified over 100 years ago. Romano still looks the same. He's not dead. He's not fading away. He and his brother appear to be fine. And there is no explanation to the reason why Romano still exists other than the fact that northern and southern Italy are just that different. Well, East and West Germany are just as, if not more divided than North and South Italy. So if nothing has happened to Romano or Venetiano, then nothing is going to happen to Prussia. If Prussia is dead, Romano should be dead too. It's not that they ever stopped existing, they just live together now. Like Czechoslovakia and the USSR. Prussia is alive because he still represents something. And because he's just that awesome. And that was 1 mark higher on your history test. Thank you for watching Hetamysteries. Thank you so much to all of you that submitted icons. A special thanks to the amazing Keshi, Luke's Animations, Fade's Antagonist, Hetalia Lover 13774, Anna Marina, and Rui ? It was incredibly hard to choose. It took a few days. Otherwise, I would have had this video ready earlier. But congratulations to Fate's Antagonist for the channel art, Luke's Animation for the icon, and Anna Marina for the avatar. Thank you for helping me not get copyrighted by Frontier Works.